ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतम् मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेमदेवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो हरिष्ठनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु ॐ शान्तिः 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 Page 57, Karika 13. द्वैतस्याग्रहणं तुल्यम् उभयोः प्राज्ञतुर्ययोः बीजनिद्रायुतः प्राज्ञः सा च तुर्येण विद्यते. So, from the Karika 12, we are seeing a comparison between prajna and turiya. This is what has been started by Gaudapadacharya, a method of comparing and contrasting, Anvaya Vyatirika. So, and here in 12th Karika, of course, we saw the 13th Karika. In that, the first line talks about the common feature between prajna and turiya, whereas the second line of this 13th Karika talks about the uncommon feature between prajna and turiya. So, both of them, what is a common feature? Both of them are free from duality, prajna and turiya. So, Dvaita experience, the experience of a duality itself is absent, prajna, the deep sleeper. And turiya, of course, being Advaitam, being one without the second, naturally there is a question of duality. So therefore, absence of Dvaitam is common for both. And what is uncommon feature indicated here? That prajna has got bija nidra yutaha. So prajna has got the the potential Dvaitam, bija. Prajna has got a potential Dvaitam called Ajnanam. So prajna is associated with Ajnanam, which is the seed for the Dvaitam. Seed for the misconception, seed for, we know that. So prajna is associated with ignorance, or which is a potential duality of misconceptions, whereas turiyam is free from even ignorance also. So this is what a uncommon feature between prajna and turiya. Prajna is with ignorance, turiya is free from ignorance. And we have started even Bhashyam little bit. So Bhashyakara says, you can see here on in Bhashyam, page number 57, sixth line. That's a para only. The para, it's the first line. Nimittantar prapta ashanka nivrutyartha ayam shlokaha. कथम द्वैत अग्रहणस्य तुल्यत्वात् कारणबद्धत्वं प्राज्ञस्यैव न तुरीयस्य इति प्राप्ता आशंका निवर्त्यते. This is a Bhashyam explaining this. Shankaracharya introduces this shloka by pointing out, he raises a doubt, and the answer to that doubt is this Karika. So he is connecting that way. He is introducing this Karika. So nimittantara prapta ashanka. Ashanka means a doubt. Nimittantara prapta. That doubt is doubt is obtained, prapta. Doubt is obtained, doubt is caused. By what? Nimittantara. By another reason. The doubt which we gain, doubt is obtained here by some another reason. What is the reason that he will say? So nimittantara prapta ashanka nivrutyartha. In order to eliminate that doubt, what is the doubt? He will say, in order to eliminate the doubt, well, this shloka is, this Karika number 13 is there. So what is that doubt? Dvaita agrahanasya tulyatvat. Dvaita agrahanam. Both Prajna and Turiya have a common feature, that Dvaita agrahanam means absence of a misconception. Adhyasa is absent. Misconception is absent. Right? So Dvaita agrahanam tulyatvat, samanatvat, between Prajna and Turiya. So absence of misconception is common to both. Then what is the following possible wrong conclusion on our part for both? Since misconception is absent in both, well, person may say the very ignorance, the cause for the misconception, also is absent in both, should be absent in both. Because misconceptions are absent between in both Prajna and Turiya. So ignorance also must be absent in both. And if you say ignorance is present in Prajna, Prajna is associated with ignorance, right? Then in that case, Turiya also should be associated with the ignorance. So this is a doubt. Turiya also should be. Why Turiya is not associated with ignorance? If both are free from misconception, then both should be free from even the cause for the misconception called ignorance. No, but Prajna, you say, is associated with ignorance. Then Turiya also should be associated with ignorance. Why not? That's a doubt. So, we can put it in a different language, like Turiyam Ajnana Sahitam. Turiya also should be taken along with ignorance. Why? Kasmat Adhyasasya abhavat. This is Anandgiri says. Adhyasasya abhavat. Since adhyasa, the misconception is common, absence of misconception is common in both, well, anyatha grahanam is absent in both, well, then definitely Prajna and Turiya both should be free from even ignorance. And if so, if you say no, Prajna is definitely having a upadhi of a ignorance, then Turiyam also should be taken along with ignorance. So this is what the Ashanka, this is the doubt. So that is how it has been, so that Ashanka has been narrated by Katham, starting from Katham, up to Katham Dvaita Agrahanasya Tulyatvat Karanabaddhatvam Prajnasya eva na Turiyasya iti. Up to this is the Ashanka. Right? It is, so iti prapta Ashanka. So, Katham Dvaita Agrahanasya Tulyatvat, Dvaita Agrahanam, absence of Dvaitam, misconception, well, is Tulyatvat is common between both Prajna and Turiya. Then Karanabaddhatvam Prajnasya. Prajna is Karanabaddhatvam, Prajna is condition, Prajna is associated with Karana. Karana means ignorance. So, And so we should, I have already told you. So, either you say Karanam, either you say Nidra, either you say Ajnanam, either you say Bijam, either you say Agrahanam. They are all synonyms, right? We have seen that before. And similarly, I have said for misconception also, I have told you like that. So you say Anyatha Grahanam, or you may say Swapna, or you may say Karyam, or etc. etc. These are all common words for Adhyasa, etc. So either you say misconception, Adhyasa, either you say Anyatha Grahanam, either you say Karyam, either you say Swapna, they are also common. So this is how we have to understand. So because Bhashyakara keeps, using one or other word, we have to understand, we should not get confused. So Prajnasya Karanabadhatvam. Just before few moments I said Prajna is associated with ignorance, right? Now I say Prajna is Bhashyakara says Prajnasya Karanabadhatvam. Prajna is associated with Karana. Swamiji, you are saying Prajna is associated with ignorance. Bhashyakara says Prajna is associated with the cause. It is the same thing. Therefore, we have introduced these terms. Karanam you say, either you say ignorance, either you say agrahanam, either you say bijam, either you say nidra, all synonyms. So, prajnasya karana baddhatvam, prajna is associated with the karana or nidra or bija. Na turiyasya, Bhashyakara says, but not turiya is associated with ignorance, etc. Katham? How can you say that? Means, so this is ashanka, right? This is a doubt, and here it is it's actually akshepa. Means, if turiya is not associated with the ignorance, you should not say. Means you should say turiya is associated with the ignorance. Turiyam also must be with the ignorance. That way we have to take it. How come turiya is not associated with ignorance? Means we feel that turiya also must be associated with ignorance. That's how the answer is. That's a ashanka. Basically, this is and that ashanka is nivartyate, has been eliminated. Where? By this Karika 13. So let's read further Bhashyam. Yasmat bija nidra yutah tattva apratibodah nidra sa eva cha vishesha pratibodha prasavasya bijam sa bija nidra tatha taya yutah prajnah. Bija nidra yutah prajnah, right? Bhashyakara introduces that. Bija nidra yutah prajnah. Prajna is yutaha, yuktaha, associated with bija and nidra. Not two things. I have already told you. Bija alone is the nidra. That's a karmadhara actually. So anyway, so he explains what is nidra. Tattva apratibodha nidra. He explains that word which he himself introduces. Bija nidra yutaha. Right? Okay. What is nidra? Tattva apratibodha nidra, etc. So this is how he introduces. So here bijam eva nidra. Yasmat bija nidra yutah. Here bija nidra yutah means bijam eva nidra. Bija nidra. Sleep is called the seed. Why sleep is a seed? Well, in sleep all misconceptions get in a potential form. Therefore, sleep is a seed for the misconceptions. Right? When person wakes up, etc. So bija nidra yutah. And in the Moolam, you can see here this nidra means tattva apratibodha in the Bhashyam. So tattva apratibodha nidra. He explains. Nidra means what? Which is, well, it is, nidra means it is, there is a self-ignorance. Yeah. Tattva aprati. Tattva means turiya, that self. And apratibodha means ignorance. Pratibodha means knowledge. Apratibodha, ignorance. So tattva apratibodha. Tattvasya pratibodha. So ignorance of the tattva, ignorance of the turiya, the self. So that is called nidra naturally. And so definitely in a sleep there is a ignorance of turiya. Of course we saw, in the 12th Karika, where it has been said, na atmanam na param shaiva, na satyam napi chanrutam, prajna kinchana na samveti. Prajna doesn't know himself, Prajna doesn't know the external world, doesn't know himself, Prajna doesn't know what is real, what is mithya, Prajna just doesn't know. So definitely associated with the ignorance. So there is self-ignorance, of course. So tattva apratibodha nidra. Sa eva cha, sa nidra. Sa eva cha vishesha pratibodha prasavasya bijam eva. That sleep alone is the bijam, is the seed for what? Prasava. Seed for the utpatti, for the origination of what? Vishesha pratibodha. Vishesha pratibodha means all vritti jnanam, all vishesha jnanam, adhyasa. Right? And therefore, and here we talked about tattva pratibodha. Nidra has been defined as the ignorance of oneself. Then Vishesha Pratibodha will be what? Well, misconceptions of what? Of oneself. And therefore, I am Veka. It is adhyasa. It is misconception. And I am a dreamer. Misconception. So Vishesha Pratibodha means this kind of a error in my mind that I am a Vishwa, I am a Taijasa, etc. So whatever description you give about yourself is all misconception. Vishesha Pratibodha, that is a prasava, that is originated. From where? From this Nidra. Right? Therefore, Nidra, the self-ignorance, of course, is Tattva Pratibodha, that Nidra is the bijam. Nidra eva bijam. Taya yutaha prajnaha. So, prajna is yutaha, associated with, conditioned with this bijam or nidra, that is ignorance. What ignorance? Self-ignorance. And that gives rise to what? Prasava. That gives rise to, that generates what? Vishesha Pratibodha. What is Vishesha Pratibodha? Well, I am a waker, I am a dreamer, etc. Which is misconception. So prajna is associated with Bijnidra. Okay. Then what about Turiyam? We have talked about one, because it's a comparison between prajna and Turiya. So we have talked about prajna. Now what about Turiyam? Bhashyakara says, Sada Sarvadruk Bhava. I'm sorry. So, taya sada druk svabhavatvat tattva apratibodha lakshana nidra turiye na vidyate atah na karanabandha tasmin iti abhiprayah. Turiya. Sada druk svabhavatvat. Turiya is sada, always, of the nature of svabhavatvat. Turiya is always of the nature of sada, druk svabhava. Sada is always of the nature of consciousness, prakasharupatva. So, therefore, since this is so, that it's the nature of consciousness, nature of light kind of a thing, not exactly like our physical light, but it is self-revealing consciousness. We always compare consciousness with light, because just generally in presence of light you know a given thing. If light is not there, you won't know. Same way, if consciousness is not there, how will you have any experience, or how will you have any knowledge of anything in the creation, including your body, your mind, or senses, or anything, even a single thought? If it is not illumined by consciousness, you will not know. Therefore, sometime for consciousness we use a word light, etc. But you should not think of this kind of a light, sunlight or some moonlight kind of a thing. It is jnanam, basically, light of knowledge. Light of consciousness is light of knowledge. Always because of that, a thing is experienced or is known, is illumined, etc., is objectified, you can say. So anyway, sada druk svabhavatvat, definitely, then what? Naturally, this tattva apratibodha lakshana nidra. So the nidra, the ignorance, which is of the nature of tattva apratibodha, ignorance pertaining to the self, such ignorance do not turiye, in turiya na vidyate. Right? Prajna is associated with a ignorance or bija, because it is a seed for the generation of all misconceptions like I am a waker, I am a dreamer, etc. For prajna is associated with ignorance, nidra, or which is bija. But this turiya, being sada dhruksabhata, which is of the nature of consciousness, light, there cannot, this a ignorance, which is like a darkness, cannot exist in turiya. Therefore, turiye na vidyate. Tattva apratibodha lakshana nidra turiye na vidyate. Bhashyakara says, druksabhavatvat, it is the nature of consciousness. So, consciousness and ignorance, basically, they cannot exist together. Tamah prakashavat viruddha sabhavatvad. They cannot coexist. And definitely, and we have that example, like which has been given in the previous Karika, you know very well, like in the case of sun, Yatha Savitari, like it has come. You can see even on the page 57, you will see that in the second line of Bhashyam, Nahi Savitari Sada Prakashatmake Tad Viruddham Aprakashanam Anyatha Prakashanam Va Sambhavati. So that is, we can take here definitely that just as this Savita basically cannot have a Savita which is of the nature of light, always cannot have a darkness in that. Same way here, Atma which, or the Turiya which is of the nature of consciousness like light, cannot have the darkness called ignorance in that. That is the difference between prajna and turiya. That is, so prajna is associated with the ignorance, whereas this one, turiya, is never associated with the ignorance. Turiya is always free from ignorance. Ignorance of oneself. Tattva pratibodha lakshana. And Swami Chinmayanji used to give a story, and it is that from this, that to this sun, which is of the nature of light, well, the sun was told by somebody that that there is a beautiful woman, and her name is Nisha, and definitely you can marry to Nisha. Right? That is somebody told to this Savita, to this son. And then and then the condition is you should search. If you are able to search this Nisha, the darkness, then definitely, and you convince her, she will marry with you. She is so beautiful. And the Surya Bhagavan thought, let me marry her, and so he went in search of the darkness. And where will be the darkness? If sun is on this side of the earth, right, facing this, sun is facing this side of the earth, then naturally Nisha will be on the opposite side. So definitely then he traveled in the other direction, sun, in search of Nisha. Where he went, then Nisha came on this side. And therefore Nisha went to other side. So Surya Bhagavan, that's how they say, Surya Bhagavan is still going round and round the earth for finding this Nisha so that he can get married. It is never possible. So you can understand. This is how Chinmayanji used to make a story and all that. But ultimately shows that darkness cannot exist with this, with the sun, which is of the nature of light. So Ajnanam and Chaitanyam cannot coexist because Tamah Prakasham Viruddha Sabhavayoho. Then this will lead to a big doubt in your mind that, how do you say Chaitanyam and ignorance are opposed to each other? Because already earlier we said that what? That Chaitanya and ignorance are never opposed to each other. We have already discussed this. They are never opposed to each other. And now we are vehemently saying Chaitanya and ignorance are basically opposed to each other. They cannot coexist. So, how do you reconcile all these things? Well, Chaitanyam basically is the adhishthanam of the ignorance. When you say there is ignorance, means ignorance is revealed. Right? When you say there is ignorance of anything, when you say there is ignorance or I am ignorant, that's better. I am ignorant when you say, means definitely ignorance is revealed. Revealed by what? Revealed by I, which is of the nature of self revealing consciousness. But how can you say ignorance is revealed by consciousness? Because you say I am ignorant, means you are conscious of your ignorance. Can I rearrange this sentence or make this sentence like this? That when you say I am ignorant, means you know that you are ignorant or you are conscious of your ignorance. If you are conscious of your ignorance, ignorance is revealed in consciousness. And therefore, basically, what is revealed in consciousness is less real compared to self revealing consciousness. And therefore, even for ignorance, consciousness alone is the adhishthanam. Adhishthanam which lends existence to that. And therefore, definitely, they can coexist. And 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 here we say they cannot coexist, means we are not blowing hot and cold. Really speaking, Chaitanya and ignorance are opposed, and Chaitanya and ignorance are not opposed. Both way we can say. Whenever we say Chaitanya and ignorance are not opposed, we mean that they belong to two different orders of reality. One is mithya, one is satyam. In fact, the very experience of the ignorance is possible due to consciousness, and therefore, well, it is mithya, and consciousness is something which is a real, self revealing. And that is what, when they are of the different orders of reality, they can coexist. And I gave you the example also that day of, if you remember in the last class of a jewelry shop and all that, I gave you the example. You have to, what is that example? Tell again. No, that I will not tell again. Okay. So they, so when the both the things are a different order of reality, they can exist. I gave you even dream example also. That definitely in a dream you see a very daylight and all that, right? And outside, really in the room, there is a darkness in the night, definitely. So in the dark room, there is a light. How it is possible? Then it is not called a dark room. But yes, darkness and light can coexist. The light of the dream, light in the dream world, definitely is of the less order of the reality compared to the darkness in the waking world, right? So therefore, that's more real, vyavaharikam, etc. So that way we can say ignorance and consciousness, chaitanyam, can coexist. Ignorance and turiyam can coexist. We can say that. And when we say they can't coexist, means both in the same order of reality cannot. Ajnanam, paramarthika jnanam, I mean, say real entity, and consciousness is a real entity, and somehow ignorance covers the turiyam. That's not true. So when Shankaracharya says they cannot coexist, Bhashakara's mind is, and Bhashakara's intention is, Ajnanam is not a paramarthika reality at all. And that is how we say ignorance is, if ignorance is revealed by consciousness, how ignorance can cover consciousness? If ignorance covers consciousness, then if consciousness is covered, then definitely who is revealing ignorance? Who is revealing ignorance? Therefore, ignorance cannot cover consciousness. If still ignorance is revealed, means consciousness is self-revealing, which is right there. Therefore, this ignorance basically covers your vision about yourself. That's what even we said in Vedansara. In Vedansara, we discussed this, and that is, we discussed, if you remember, that, the sun, right, which is of the nature of light, covered by a cloud. Cloud covers the sun. Well, cloud cannot cover the sun. Cloud is so small, and sun is 13,000 times bigger than earth. How can a small cloud cover the... But definitely, that cloud covers our vision of the sun, right? That way, ignorance covers your vision about yourself. So ignorance due to that, well, as a jiva then, well, you don't know that you are Turiya, you are Brahman, etc., you are Atma, that you don't know. That's how we have to understand. So, tu nidra turiye na vidyate. Andhakar rupa ajnanasya na sambhavati. Ajnanam is not possible in that. Ataha na karanabaddaha. So, turiyam is na karanabadda. Turiya is not conditioned by karana, by ignorance, by bija, etc., by nidra. Turiyam is free from this real ajnanam. Iti abhipraya. This is the intention. And we have discussed this several times that it's experiential. You experience ignorance, that's one thing. But more than that, ignorance has no factual reality. If you can prove ignorance, existence of ignorance, apart from consciousness, then definitely it is another reality, but you cannot prove. Let's go to Karika number 14. Sapna nidra yuta bad. Sapna nidra yuta vadyau prajnastva sapna nidraya nanidram naiva cha sapna nanidram naiva cha sapnam turye pashyanti nishchitaha. So this shloka, this particular karika, 14th karika, is a repetition of 11th karika. Means karika 11 and karika 14 have a same idea. Only words are different. So in 11th karika you see the word karanam and karyam are used. Kare karana baddhau tau, right? Vishwataijasau, kare karana baddhau, etc. So in this karika, word karanam of that 11th karika is replaced by nidra. And the word karyam of the 11th karika is replaced here by swapna. That's it. Same thing. Only the words have been changed. Concept is the same. Means Vishwa is associated with what? Nidra and swapna, or karya and karana. Vishwa is associated with ignorance and misconception, right? So Vishwa is associated with non-apprehension as well as misapprehension of oneself. Taijasa also is associated with ignorance and misconception, karya and karana, nidra and sapna. Whereas prajna is associated only with the nidra, with the ignorance, with the agrahana only. Whereas both Vishwa and Tejas are associated with the anyatha grahanam and agrahanam both, karya and karana. So this is a message given in the 14th karika. It's same message of the 11th karika. Let's go to this bhashya. Sapnaha. See, word sapna is from the karika. Bhashyakar explains that. Anyatha grahanam. Clear? Sapnaha anyatha grahanam. Sarpaha iva rajvam. Anyatha grahanam, adhyasa, etc. Karyam. Right? Sapna. So, sapnaha anyatha grahanam. Bhashyakara gives example. Sarpaha iva rajvam. Nidrokta tattva apratibodha lakshanam tamaha iti. Tabhyam swapna nidrabhyam yutau vishwataijasau. Ataha tau कार्यकारणबद्धौ इति उक्तौ. प्राज्ञस्तु स्वप्नवर्जितया केवलया एव निद्रया युतः इति कारणबद्धः इति उक्तम्. न उभयं पश्यन्ति तुरीये निश्चिताः ब्रह्मविदः इत्यर्थः. विरुद्धत्वात् सवितरि इव तमः. We know as such, but we should, complete it. So, Bashakara here also brings that example, yatha savitari tamaha na vidyate, etc. Same example which I just told you. So let's start. So sapnaha, Bashakara says, which is in the Karika, Bashakara explains as a anyatha grahanam. Means misapprehension, misconception. So what is a misconception? What is sapna? I am a waker. I am a waker is sapna. Please understand. Ah, this is Mandukya. This is Mandukya. I am a waker is a sapna. It's a misconception. Then what should I say? If I have a knowledge, then what? I am a witness of the waker. Is a knowledge. I am a waker reveals ignorance, nidra, and also nidra means you will not say anything. But you say I am a waker means nidra also is there, sapna also is there, agrahanam is there, anyatha grahanam is there, karanam also is there, karyam also is there. Right? Both are there. So that's how it has been said. Nidra is there, sapna is there, like that. So I am a waker, etc. I am a witness actually. I am sakshi of the ahankara, we know very well. So you are basically witness to the waking state of the mind. I am waker, well, that's a ignorance. But when you say I am witness of the waker means I am the witness of the waking state of the mind. So, wonderful. Then what about Swamiji? I am a dreamer when you say that's also sapna. That's also sapna. I am waker also is sapna. I am dreamer also is sapna. Because anyatha grahanam is there, self misconception is there. That is how it is sapna. Adhyasa is there. Like what? Sarpaha iva rajvam. Bashakara is our good old example. The misconception of a snake upon the rope. Same way misconception of the waker and the dreamer upon the rope. You, Turiya. There is a waking mind. You superimpose upon Turiya, which is just a witness, which is ever present and of the nature of consciousness, which is illumining even the waker. Illumining the waking mind, I mean. Dreaming mind, waking mind, etc. Everything it just illumines. It is right there. It's right there, not in corner, etc. Don't say that kind of a thing. In one corner of the mind, Turiya is sitting. Turiya is the adhishthanam of the entire world. So, there is not a sitting in one corner. It is present in the mind. That's but. Don't say further. It is just manifest in the mind. That Turiya, the Brahman, manifests in the mind and illumines the condition of the mind, waking mind, dream mind, etc., or goes to sleep, sleeping mind, unmanifest mind, also illumines, ever present of the nature of light. So sarpaha iva rajvam, like the misconception of snake upon the rope. So this is the meaning of sapna. Okay, what is nidra? Bhashyakara explains further, because this Vishwa and Tejas are associated with Sapna and Nidra. So Sapna has been explained. Now Nidra. So what Bhashyakara says further, Nidra Ukta. Nidra has already been defined, right? In the previous shloka only we saw. So therefore, he says, I have already defined. Ukta means I have already explained in the previous Karika. Karika bada Gaud Padacharya, but the Karika has been explained by Bhashyakara. That way Bhashyakara says it is Ukta. I have already explained this. Nidra Ukta. Nidrokta means Nidra Ukta. And still he repeats. Look at that. What is that Nidra which he has already mentioned in previous? He said Tattva Apratibodham Tamaha. Right? Tattva Tamaha, ignorance. Tattva Apratibodham, in the form of a non-apprehension of Turiya. Tamaha, the darkness, in the form of a ignorance of Turiya, ignorance of the self. Well, that is the nidra. Tabhyam. Tabhyam is what? Nidra and sapna. So tabhyam means both ignorance and misconception. Yuktau. Yuktau. In Mulam it is yutau. Bhashakara says yuktau. Tabhyam yutau. Tabhyam yuktau. Associated condition with both ignorance and misconception. Karya and karana. Right? Both. And or nidra and sapna. Here, for this karika, we have this word. Same concept is same. Nidra and sapna. Vishwa and Tejas are associated with nidra and sapna both. In 11th karika, it was karyakarana, baddhau. It was associated. Vishwa Tejas are baddhau. Same thing. Baddhau, yutau, yuktau. Same meaning. Condition associated with or conditioned by. What kind of a condition? Mithya condition. Upadhi is called condition, which is mithya. Waking mind, dream mind, or mind itself is mithya. So, therefore, it is definitely, therefore, prajna is a mithya. Yeah, because you tell same turiya as a prajna. Why turiya is called prajna? Oh, because of the upadhi. What upadhi? Ignorance. Oh, so turiya is associated with ignorance. There are two entities. No. Ignorance is mithya, and therefore you rename turiya due to this upadhi called ignorance as prajna. But the prajna is mithya because you say prajna is associated with the ignorance. Means prajna means there is an association of ignorance. But ignorance is mithya, the prajna is mithya. What is reality is just turiya. So in all the three states, you remain turiya. Nothing happens. There is nothing happening in the world. Don't understand in a proper context. So all that is happening is just a very superficial. Whole thing is just superficial. Yeah. All this Janma and Marana and everything is just superficial. All that is there is just one consciousness, that is you. Nothing is there other than that. All experiences are Nitya. That's the joy. Yeah. That is the joy. That's a freedom. You don't have any bondage at all. Yeah. Freedom means not really freedom doesn't mean a licentious behavior, okay? And freedom means looking at your own nature. The reality is this, that really speaking, you are free from everything. What is there at the experiential level, that is there at experiential level, not at a factual level. At a factual level, Turiya alone is doing this drama of becoming a waker in the waking world. Becoming also is, you can understand now, the rope becomes snake. Please understand. That's how your example is very beautiful example. Even though we don't like, we are fed up with the examples sometime, but we should stick with that example. Rope becomes snake. Rope becomes snake. Same way, you Turiya become waker and the waker. What happens in a waker? My God, think of the hell kind of a situation because of just Nidra and Sapna. So therefore, every waker here in this world at this time is in dream right now. Only one person may, or one or few people only wakes up, really speaking, from the Mandukya standpoint, and that is Ignani. That's it. Everyone is in dream. And dream, not just dream, also with the ignorance. So there is Nidra. Because Sapna is associated with the Nidra. That Sapna, dream comes once you sleep. Yeah. So everyone is either in a Nidra or either seeing this Sapna. That's what it is. That's what the reality is. So the waker is Sapna. I am a waker is a Sapna. I am a dreamer is a Sapna. No, I am sleeper also is a Sapna, Swamiji. That's also Adhyasa. But you never say that. You never say. If you say I'm a sleeper, you are not sleeping. Okay? Yeah. So there only nidra. Ah. So enjoy. Enjoy life. Learning Mandukya, one should enjoy life. Ah. Don't carry all the time carry the load which is really not there. Just carry the load. All this raga and dvesha and what? Karma and janma and marana and sanchita and prarabdha and what not. Nothing is happening to you. It's all you as I mean, if you are not aware of this reality, all this mithya thing becomes real for you. So understand Turiya is alone called this prajna, etc. That is just due to this mithya upadhi called ignorance or the body or the mind, etc. And anyway, ataha, therefore, only um, um, means in that, like in 11th Karika, Karya Karana Baddhau iti yuktau, same way here, Prajnas, so Karyam corresponding to Swapna and Karanam corresponding to Nidra. So we already mentioned that. Whereas Prajnastu, unlike Prajna, means Prajnastu means unlike Vishwan Tejasa, which we discuss, I'm sorry. Prajnastu means whereas, tu means Parantu. But Prajna is quite distinct from that Vishwa and Tejasa. Vishwa and Tejasa are associated with both Yutau, Yuktau. What? Nidra and Sapna. Whereas Prajna, well, the sleeper does not have any misconception, so Sapna is not there. Sleeper never says I am sleeper. If he says, then we can say he is in Sapna. But sleeper will never say I am a sleeper. If he says there is no sleeping, and therefore definitely prajna is free from misconception, Sapna. And so Sapna Varjita, Kevalaya eva Nidraya. So look at the Bhashakara. So therefore without misconception, just pure ignorance alone. Prajna is Kevalaya Nidraya eva Yuktaha. It is associated with just ignorance, Nidra only. So Karanabadha iti uktam. Uktam means it has been already mentioned there actually, in this 11th Karika, I already told you. Now Ubhayam Pashyanti, whereas in Turiyam, Ubhayam na Pashyanti. Ubhayam means both ignorance and misconception. Turiye na Pashyanti. Who do not see? This both are absent in Turiya. This Nidra and Supna, Karya and Karana, right? Agrahanam and Anyatha Grahanam, etc., are absent in Turiya. Who is seeing that? Ubhayam na Pashyanti. But who are not seeing this? Nishchitaha. Nishchitaha. Brahmavidaha, Bhashakara says. Well, so the wise people do not see. Wise people do not see means wise people do not even experience. Wise people do not experience a waking state and all. No. Wise people do not give reality. For them it has become mithya. Experientially things are there. When anything is experientially there, but if you know it is factually not there, you will enjoy that thing very well. Thousands of examples are there. I don't want to go. If anything you keep on experiencing, but if you know that they are really not there, you really enjoy that very much. Starting from a magic show, you spend 1,000-2,000 rupees ticket also you will buy, you will go there. So again you 2,000 rupees ticket you buy and you will go to a film to see a movie in the theater. You experience everything. But you know before you even go and experience, before that itself you know whole thing is just a show, filmy show. When you know it, you enjoy it. That's how these jnanis enjoy the entire life. They just enjoy. Because experientially everything is there. In reality, nothing is there other than one non-dual mass of consciousness. Nothing is there. I am that Turiya. Therefore, nothing affects me because there is really nothing there. There is no second thing to affect me. Where is the fear? Dvaitati bhayam bhavati. Kindly understand this. I am saying it again and again to make more and more relevance in our life. Even if you don't appreciate totally, if you are perhaps you people are very very smart, but if you are not even able to own up that you are Turiya at this moment, suppose at least even intellectually also, that really nothing affects me in this world. Nothing affects. Yeah. Even intellectually also, this much conviction if you have, well, Shastra says it and I can understand it reasonably, well, that it makes, it's a reasonable, that it really nothing affects consciousness. I am that consciousness because there cannot be I without consciousness. There cannot be conscious being without I. You cannot separate them, I and conscious being. Can you separate? No. And you are that conscious being. Well, for that you don't need any pramana also. Means you are self-revealing. You don't need any pramana to reveal it. For one thing for which I don't have a doubt, and that is I am conscious being. Well, that consciousness can never be affected by anything in this world. That's a turiya. That consciousness alone is, with the different mithya upadhis, appear as a prajna, tejasa, etc. Okay, so viruddhatvat, I mean, you know, so nishchitaha, brahmavidaha, so they know this. Wise people do not see both of them. They see both of them as mithya, you can say. And why they are not really there, why these two are really not there. Viruddhatvat savitari tamaha. So yatha tamaha. So basically, yatha tamaha savitari na bhavati. Just as this, the darkness cannot exist in a sunlight, in a sun, which is of the nature of light. Same way, this ignorance and the misconception, sopna, cannot exist in the consciousness, which is the turiya. Therefore, satya, jnanam, satyam, etc., that is not there at all. Savitari tamaha iva. Savitari is a saptami vibhakti. And therefore, Miss Darkness, I'm sorry, Miss Nisha and Mr. Savita could not marry each other. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.